Hello, guys. Yes, it's Nika again. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I was at a wedding, so here we are. Wednesday is basically my Monday, so bear with me. I did go here, guys, and I did graduate from there. I also went to several other universities, and some I graduated from, some I did not, some I just got a few credits. Nonetheless, I have been part of the sorority fraternity life. I'm not going to say I was in a sorority or I wasn't, but let's just say I know what I'm talking about because I've been in school for so many years. I was in school for so many years getting several degrees. So when I looked up data statistics, it turns out that only 4 to 5% of Americans have actually ever been part of Greek life, meaning that only 4 to 5% of Americans have been in a sorority, been in a university, been in a fraternity, and understand the depth of the secrets of what goes on within these sororities, these fraternities, because basically, if you haven't been in one, you might hear a little bit from, for example, people who have been in them, or it's all speculation. And I feel this is very important to cover because in this case, the IDAHO4 victims, all of them were in sororities, all of them were in fraternities. So it matters. It makes a difference when you understand the hierarchies within these sororities, within these fraternities, the intimidation that goes on, the secretiveness, the secrets you're expected to keep. It could be crazy stuff, guys, the secrets, the things that go on that you're expected to not talk about. Hence, this is the reason why I'm actually not going to go too much in depth of my personal experience, because people are crazy. You can't trust a lot of people, especially me. I'm putting myself out here online. I'm telling you guys where I went. I have to be very cautious with what I say. So, I mean, it's insane. I found a study by Allen 2008, and it shows that 78% of people in sororities and fraternities have experienced some sort of hazing. And this has actually been a big issue for students that were students at the University of Idaho. Why? Because right before this crime took place in November 13, 2022, it's been a year and a couple days, people were unaliving themselves left and right. I mean, there was an incident of a student in a fraternity who unalived himself, OD'd. There was another student who supposedly drowned in a couple inches of water from drinking and God knows what else. Not a peep, guys, not a peep from a sorority or a frat member. You don't think that's weird? You don't think it's weird that these two survivors aren't saying anything? They're still part of these sororities, or were part when this took place. They're expected to keep their mouth quiet. And what many people who've never been part of this life, this Greek life, understand is that snitches get stitches, right? If you say something against someone, or if you speak up against something you don't like within these groups, in this Greek life, they'll make sure that you learn your lesson. Now, it can be extreme, it can be something minor, but they will make sure that you understand the purpose of Greek life. It's almost like a cult, honestly. It's very cultish. Now, I am way older, guys. I could probably have when I was in school, my first year of university, I think I was 16 or 17, something like that, because I graduated very young. And if I could go back, I would say, don't join. Or if I had a daughter that age, I would say, I would try to do as much as possible to keep them from joining these types of cults, really, because it's not a good thing. And when you're 17, 18 years old, even maybe a little bit older, you're not really thinking things thoroughly. You're putting yourself out there in the world and trying to make friends, and they always tell you, yeah, join because it's a great way to network. When in reality, you might not know what you're getting yourself into. And by the time you've gotten yourself into there, it might be too late. And if you try getting out, depending on what you've witnessed, you may be able to get out, you may not be able to get out. And I understand that my experience may be different from other people in other sororities or in other universities, but from the things I have experienced, I have witnessed at several universities that I have attended, it's a lot of hazing. There's a lot of group think. There's a lot of intimidation. And this matters because in all of these cases of students that were either unalived themselves, unalived by others, no one has ever came up to talk. They immediately lawyered up. In this IDAHO4 case, there was one who left the country. He literally left the country with his parents days after the crime took place. Is it possible that maybe he was involved? Yes. Is it possible that maybe he was not involved and he was just threatened by somebody within the fraternity, maybe because he knew something? Yes, that's also possible. There's so many possibilities that we can only speculate. But I am letting you know from personal experience, the things that go on in these sororities, fraternities are not necessarily healthy. And the hazing experienced by a lot of people who join this Greek life has led them to unalive themselves because that's how severe it gets. It's a huge deal. So part of me has empathy for the two survivors because although they may have been involved or may not have been involved, if they saw something, they need to do the right thing. They need to come out and say, hey, this is what's going on. It's a big deal. I'm not going to put up with this. But the other part of me also understands how deep these sororities and fraternities go. So deep, they are ingrained within our society. I'm not talking about you join a sorority, you join a fraternity, and it's something that stays at the university when you graduate. No. It follows you for the rest of your life. I mean, you can meet people in different areas, and depending on the handshake or the wave, you'll recognize a member. So once you become part of these cults, it's very easy for them to manipulate you. And putting myself in the shoes of these two survivors and knowing their age, I'm not saying this is what happened. This is my personal opinion. All of this is my personal opinion. But I can also see why they would be afraid to come out. Because if they knew a secret, if they wanted to come out and say it, they might just be afraid to because they know how deep these roots go. Even if they're in another state, even if they've restarted their lives, I can see why they would be afraid that someone, somewhere, could be threatening them or their family members. So, guys, I am an academic at heart. I love education, and I love school, and I love learning. It's probably one of my top passions. But when we think about the hazing, the intimidation, the secrets that are kept within these sororities and fraternities, it's essential that you always keep in mind there's more to the story than they're telling us. Is it possible that somebody from this sorority, this fraternity, knows something, saw something. Yeah, it's very possible. Is it possible this is why no one's talking? In my opinion, 100%. Because from my experience, I've always known people within these sororities, fraternities, when there's something that comes up, you shut up and you lawyer up. That's what you're expected to do. Doesn't matter how big, how small, you protect the name. You protect the name of your school. You do everything for your school. You do everything for your brothers and sisters within the sorority. Doesn't matter if it's legal or not sometimes. Do I agree with this mentality? No. In my opinion, again, I understand why these two girls might be scared, why maybe so many other people within the school system may have something to say, may have information. But it's been a year. It's been a year and we still are basically clueless. Nobody has said anything. In fact, people are fleeing. The chief of police just left. He said, well, I'm retiring. What is going on? And when you understand money and how much money is brought into this school, to Moscow, Idaho. Remember, Moscow's a small town, maybe 26,000 people. Residents from Moscow that are students, a little bit over 12,000. So about half of the people that live in Moscow are students. You guys know I'm always talking about follow the money, follow the money. If you follow the money, it means what brings in the most revenue to this tiny town of Idaho? The school does. The school brings the money. The students bring the money. They rent homes. They spend money on booze. They spend money at restaurants. They spend money on Ubers. They bring jobs by coming to the school. Follow the money. Now, what happens? Let's pretend that maybe it was a psychopath within the fraternity who abused steroids, who potentially hurt these 4 people. Okay, got it in there? DL, we're going to call him DL, right? Okay, let's pretend it was him. Do you think the school is going to want to publish that a fraternity member potentially unalived 4 people? Of course not. Because who loses if that happens? The school loses, the students lose, the town loses, jobs are lost, money down the drain. Because let me tell you, when this crime happened, before they had somebody in jail, before BK was in jail, guess what students were doing? They were leaving. Because who in their right mind wants to stay in a dirty little town? Well, I don't know if it's a dirty little town. It might not be. In a little town of Idaho where there's potentially a serial unaliver on the loose within their school system. Do you think that's going to make students feel safe? I wouldn't stay safe. If I was a parent of one of those students, I would say, yeah, hell no, you're coming back home. You're going to another university, pick another school. We're doing whatever we need to do to get you out of there. Because if I was a parent, their safety would be my number 1 priority. And even if I was just there as a 20-something-year-old girl by myself, my first priority would be to get the hell out of there. Because why would you stay? But then we put potentially just a Patsy in jail to appease people. Guess what happens? People start going back to the university. Money starts flowing again. Now, I'm not saying BK's a Patsy, guys. I am just imagining other scenarios. And again, a lot of people don't question things or don't think of other possibilities, but you have to think of other possibilities, especially in this case, because the DNA is just not good enough. The current evidence is just not good enough. So is it possible that BK was framed? Hell yes. When you think about millions and millions and millions of dollars lost overnight just like that. If it was found out to be that, oh, the crazy frat boys did it. Turns out that the crazy frat boys have been doing stuff. Hence why so many people have unalived themselves or have been found unalived. Let's say that was the case. Do you think the probability of BK getting out, even if he was potentially falsely accused, do you think he could have a fair trial? Again, you guys know I'm a veteran. By the way, thank you guys for all the Veterans Day messages you guys send me on Instagram. I don't think so. When you have that much money, that potential wave of horrible press coming to your school, again, meaning money lost, meaning jobs lost within Moscow, I don't think a lot of people at the top would allow it. If anything, I think people at the top would probably pay to keep that a secret, because why would you put that out there? Why would you potentially put it in people's minds that it was a frat boy? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, because money is number one. That's how most people see the world, that the world is ran by money. Money makes everything go round. So, yes, I hope more evidence comes out. I'm hopeful that he gets a fair trial. I'm not saying he did it or he didn't do it. What I'm saying is that currently we don't have enough evidence to know. But the more I look at the money side of things, the more I look at numbers and how much they would actually lose. By they, I mean the whole town, really, not just university, the whole town. Would it benefit people? No. The only ones that it would really benefit would be probably the parents of the victims, which is what I want. I want them to know who actually did it, who actually hurt their children. I would love for the truth to come out. I'm a truth seeker. I would want these parents to know that the right guy is behind bars. And I would want the students in this school to feel safe. But again, as somebody with a background in education and has been in, in that Greek life thing, which I kind of regret now, I also know how deep the Greek life goes, and the mentality and the brainwashing and the manipulating. And it breaks my heart, because the only way we would ever find the truth, I think, is if we didn't have so many millions at stake. Hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed, hopefully the truth comes out. But again, the analytical part of me thinks there's too much money. It's millions. There's no effing way that the truth is going to come out. BK is a patsy, potentially. And he might spend his life in jail for all we know, for something he maybe didn't do, for all we know. Again, part of me hopes I'm wrong. Part of me hopes that, it's something else. But always look at the evidence and follow the money. Don't let your emotions run this. Don't let the media brainwash you, because they love to paint people, especially awkward people like myself. I'm socially awkward, whether you think I am or not. They love to paint weird people as bad people. And in reality, anybody can be painted as a bad person in the media. So don't let these media portrayals of BK or of the whole story take over. You do your own research and come to your own conclusions. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. I really want to know if you guys think that millions and millions of dollars potentially being lost if this school had a bad press, if something horrible like this happened, do you think that the truth would come out, or do you think that the truth would try to be suppressed because there's just too many dollars at stake? I really want to know what you guys think. So you guys take care. Have a great day, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow.